everyone. I'm Carlota Pico from the Content Mix, and I'm excited to be here today with Michael McGoldrick, who is Senior Marketing Manager for the EMEA and APAC regions at MRP, which is a computer software company. And Michael also has over 8 years of experience in marketing and communications. Welcome, Michael, and thank you so much for joining us today on the Content Mix.
Thanks, it's a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is ours. Okay, Michael, so let's jump straight into the interview. Could you tell me a little bit about your background experience and what led you to where you are today?
Yes, historically, I've spent 5 years at one of the largest BPOs executing pilot account-based marketing strategies and targeting the company's financial service target accounts. So that's how I got to know the industry and the sheer size of the market. So when I came across MRP, love the technology, the company, and the market opportunity, and a marketing position opened up. So it kind of felt like a natural transition for me. And that was just over 2 years ago. So now I find myself in a position managing our corporate marketing strategies across EMEA and APAC. A little bit about MRP then. So MRP Prelytix, it's the only enterprise class predictive ABM platform. Our technology and services empower client sales and marketing teams to simplify the complexity of their operating environments using real-time predictive analytics and intelligence to direct, coordinate, and execute across 7 channels. So using our global ABM managed service capacity or client infrastructure, our approach is essentially purpose-built to drive measurable and higher response rates and pipeline conversion, pipeline value. We were founded 7 years before the next oldest ABM platform, and we've now been part of a public traded company with over 700 employees managing more than 1,000 ABM programs. And that's across more than 100 countries and 10 languages and 11 offices spread across 4 continents.
Wow. Okay. So let's think about Michael as a kid. Did Michael as a kid always know that he wanted to pursue a career in marketing?
No. So, when I first sort of started out in my career, what I was really looking for was a job that would give me a lot of exposure to sort of business in general. So I started looking at jobs within sort of management consulting. And that's how I found myself within the business process outsourcing industry. But after a few years, I didn't really feel like I was learning a lot or actively contributing to the commercial success of the business. So that's when I kind of figured it was time for something new. So I started networking, and through sort of conversations and meetings, I realized I love the idea of being creative in my role and contributing to a company's success by utilizing that creativity. And a position came up in the corporate marketing department several months later, so I jumped at the chance. So fast forward 5 years, and then I found myself interviewing for a marketing role at MRP.
Okay, very exciting. So I guess you kind of just landed in the role by chance, but not after a lot of work.
Yeah.
Okay, well, moving into MRP, how does MRP help companies reach the right clients at the right time? And this question is obviously meant for our audience to understand the value of what you do.
Yeah, so MRP, we essentially close the loop on integrated account-based marketing strategies. So our clients are able to identify and replicate high-performing tactics and then eliminate the low-performing. So our core technology is scaled, mature, and it's actually among the fastest and most scalable solutions available at any price. So it's benchmarked several hundred times faster than Hadoop. So for our IT experts out there, KDB Plus, it's adopted by leaders across the world's most demanding data analytic environments. So it's essentially what powers our solution. So we're the only ABM platform that's designed for sales and marketing professionals, that operate programs across multiple product lines, industries, and geographies. And given how sophisticated that environment is, we apply the world's fastest streaming analytic solutions, which it consumes on average about 1.5 trillion data signals per month. So that allows our clients to really operate at the speed of customer engagement, so they're the first to market, the first to win. So that essentially MRP simplifies that complexity of this enterprise sales and marketing environment, applying AI to connect this data, these insights, and then the next best action, breaking apart sort of a typical siloed approach to marketing.
Okay, yeah. No, it sounds like you make marketers' lives a lot easier through a really complex platform, but that's really easy to use, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So the back end must be like, woof. But in terms of the front end, it's just easy and straightforward.
Yeah, the back end blows my mind as well.
Yeah. Okay. Since you obviously take care of the EMEA and APAC regions, I want to ask you about the challenges of multi-platform regional marketing.
So I think sort of the biggest challenge, B2B marketers have outgrown sort of simplistic point solutions. They require, the ability to unify data sources and rapidly drive insights and take action across different channels or lines of business or geographies, but they need this all in real time. And today's buyers have transcended sort of marketing channels from moment to moment. So they've no idea that separate teams operate display advertising or website content, your email campaigns or your sales development outreach. So as an organization, we're fortunate enough when a buyer interacts with us, but what we really need to do is adjust and respond to that success and pull the buyer and their team into the next stage of engagement. So the requirement here is really about speed and accuracy in our efforts to connect insights to actions. So whether that be a new email, a phone call, or an entirely new campaign content flow. I mean, if you're currently working with an intent data or predictive analytics vendor, if they're only able to update their data periodically, your ABM platform will be able to operationalize that data in real time, and you'll always miss this right time. So you'll always be off message. Your ability to generate response and revenue is really 100% based on your ability to learn and adapt to the needs of each target account. And customers operate in real time, milliseconds between clicks and page views. I mean, when we look at research from McKinsey, for example, they found that B2B buyers are using an average of 6 channels to research considered vendors, and about 2/3 of them leave that experience dissatisfied. So marketers really need to ask themselves, if their marketing program can identify audience needs, select the relevant content, and orchestrate this all simultaneously through multiple channels. I mean, many of the ABM platforms, that are operating in our space they have sort of multiple channel capabilities, but an enterprise marketer needs a lot more control that prevents them from over marketing, sending conflicting messages between marketing teams, and they really require real time triggered connections between the identification of needs within a target account to the identification of the next best action and the resultant delivery of a high value sales and marketing action.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Michael. So what I understand for you, marketing is all about timing.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. It's about reaching your customers at the right time when they may need your product.
Yeah. Ultimately, I mean, if you miss that right time, you've no way of being able to take that moment back. Customers, they operate from this moment to moment philosophy is what we kind of use. So really the ability to identify those needs and those insights in real time is what's going to allow you to perform the next best action.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love your platform. I wish I could use it for my personal life. Like, hey, tell me what the perfect timing is for this, and so that I can take action. I mean, I think life is all about timing. Even more than marketing is all about timing, but I guess life is as well. And so if there was a platform that could let me know, like, you know what, get on that plane today because tomorrow there's going to be this great opportunity in like Alaska.
Yeah.
It's like a little ball, a magic ball that gives me all these insights.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but we are that little crystal ball for the B2B marketing space. But as soon as we get to that level, I'll be the first to know.
Please let me know, hey, if you do ever have a little crystal ball that gives you all the answers, I want to be the first buyer. Okay, excellent, Michael. Moving into my next question. From a marketing standpoint, how do you or would you cater for different market maturity levels?
So yeah, I mean, it's a complex question. So in my current role, obviously, I'm responsible for both EMEA and APAC. And if we consider APAC, for example, the reality is, the markets across APAC, they're no less innovative or savvy than their Western-based counterparts. And there's a lot of misconceptions in regards to the maturity of the region. But I mean, as we've discussed before, APAC is such a huge, diverse region, that it's silly to tar that entire region with the one brush. I mean, when I think of APAC, I think of sort of the hurdles that they will have to overcome, primarily surrounding delivery and distribution of digital marketing across Asia. So what I mean by that is connectivity is still an issue in sort of many Asian regions, meaning the distribution of marketing material can be a big issue with large black spots. So there's no quick solutions to some of the logistical issues in Asia. But it must be recognized that the region is in no way the same as the West when it comes to marketing, sales, or business. One of the biggest mistakes that Western brands make when they try and grow markets in Asia is they lump it all together in this one big region. So, I mean, when we talk about delivering a sort of full integrated marketing strategy, regardless of market maturity, that relies on robust orchestration. So that means considering the total messaging experience for each account rather than just ramping up the noise with some more broadcast messaging. So it's another step away from this historic sort of spray and pray model that is genuinely targeted and customer focused. And of course, it calls for a solid insight into customers or targets so that the messaging experience reflects their needs, which is what intent data gives you. So when it comes to message distribution, it's no surprise, that highly effective marketing teams adopt a coordinated multi-channel approach that was identified during registration. Where data can be particularly helpful here is identifying which inbound channels prospective customers are coming from, and then delivering back target messaging that reflects the way that buyers in that region have engaged. So it's try and test the strategy to deliver more effective ABM programs.
Okay, but when it comes to like content and UX wise, both regions are extremely different. I worked heavily across the EMEA region, also the APAC region, and UX wise, when I used to help companies build websites, Asia in general tends to like very cluttered websites, whereas in Europe, we're seeing websites that are much more simple. And that's just one cultural nuance that I've observed throughout my work. What about cultural nuances that you've observed throughout your experience in marketing?
So, I mean, both regions are hugely diverse. And I think when we look at APAC, for example, Hong Kong and mainland China are vastly different with different languages and very different cultures. I mean, when we think of Hong Kong, for example, it's relatively Western in their attitude, whereas China is kind of has been previously sort of on the other end of the economic spectrum until recently. So therefore, that market is a little bit less mature than other parts in Asia. And I mean, if we throw in India, a hugely diverse country itself, along with Japan, Korea, Australia, you start to really appreciate the variety of cultures and economic environments that exist there. So it comes back to sort of good marketing needing to be tailored to customers. And that means having an understanding of different regions' preferences, their pain points, responsibilities, solutions they prefer, and so on. And although this might seem obvious, surprisingly many marketers tend to ignore that advice. You can't hope to understand these differences from afar. The region's too fast, too complex, and it moves too fast. So in my opinion, having a base, whether that be in EMEA or in APAC, and spending time on the ground across these different markets is absolutely critical. Now, while that might not be possible for everyone, in the absence of physical presence in the area, or those organizations, maybe don't have the resources or skill to do so, you need to have those resources on your payroll, employees that experience of these complex markets, and even better if they're native speakers or multilingual. And that's true for both EMEA and APAC markets.
Definitely. So basically have feet on the ground. Feet on the ground so you can understand the local culture and also speak the local language.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we find is so many large organizations have, budget, marketing, all of that come from US operations, and it gradually makes its way downstream to Europe and then to Asia. And that approach just doesn't work. A one-size-fits-all approach isn't going to work for you.
Yeah. But what about like those companies that don't have a large budget that are quite strapped in resources, and at the same time, lots of their potential clients are in Asian markets, and so they kind of approach the Asian market as one big cluster. Although I completely agree with you, you can't compare an Asia to you can't compare China to an India, for example. It's two completely different beasts just because of the size of their population. In itself, I wouldn't even compare China to a China. I would zoom into smaller regions within China.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like you said, the cost of setting up operations within the region is astronomical. So for those organizations, that's just not a possibility. Like I said, I mean, having employees that have experience working within these environments is really going to be your best asset. You can't go into these markets blind and sort of hope and pray, that your approach will work. Really having that resources inside your organization, so whether that be people that are from the region, that speak the language, or have that deep understanding of the cultural nuances between that and, for example, the US, I think is invaluable.
Yeah, definitely. And then for those companies that don't have the resources, they can always rely on consultants as well, local consultants to help them navigate local market nuances, challenges, and just basically figure out what strategy is going to work for that market. And then once they do have the resources, then start to expand.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of the UK or the Irish sort of employment markets, there's a wealth of resources here,
yeah.
In particular, and people that are from different regions within Europe, some in APAC. So there is a lot of experience out there. You just need to make sure that you can tap into it.
Yeah, definitely. Do your homework, right?
Yeah.
Okay, tying into that last response, the economic consequences of the coronavirus pandemic are far-reaching, and advertising and marketing budgets have been some of the first ones to go. What major lessons have you learned about marketing during this time, and what do you think the future of marketing will look like, Michael?
So, I mean, for many of your listeners, their CFO or executive team are likely targeting significant cuts to their marketing budgets. Unfortunately, fear of the unknown drives bad decisions. But that fear can be removed with data. I mean, when we think back, advertising is typically the first area of any strategy to be cut. And marketing budgets are often, in the firing line for reducing expenses during the economic climate. But when we think back to the 2008 financial crisis, while advertising outlays fell by 13%, research identified double-digit hits to sales and income when ad spend is cut during a recession. I mean, furthermore, companies that cut advertising take much longer to recover, and as such, that action will depress sales, but also market share. So when I think into what markets can do in the near future and what markets are currently doing, a lot of them are just making use of behavioral data that they have to predict predictive models, build segments based on their customer needs. I mean, organizations will have wealth of data there, and the current climate is likely to accelerate that trend. But for many markets, the patterns of growth and spending in their markets will have shifted. Some companies may be thriving, others may be struggling, and the right companies to target will have probably changed. But based on sort of more nuanced data that we have, with tailored value props to match, it might become more productive to segment based on business personality, the demographic makeup of its customers, or maybe its digital maturity. And most will already have lead queues generated in their CRM from these data sources. But the opportunity to combine that data, some better qualitative insight will allow organizations to identify the right time and place to join that conversation with their customers and have an operating model that can act on intelligence swiftly and effectively.
Okay, excellent. So basically, use MRP to target the right accounts.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Okay, great. Well, moving into the next section of our interview is your recommendations for our audience. To get the section started off, I'd like to ask you about your source of inspiration. Who do you admire, Michael?
I mean, I think probably no one person is inspiring more than a previous manager and mentor, Jamie Romero. With his help, it really helped me realize my potential, and his instruction and guidance was what really sort of ignited my passion for marketing and the industry that I'm in currently.
Okay, beautiful. Nice shout out. Okay, what about a resource that you'd like to recommend? So, for example, a group, a book, a publication.
I think publication, The Drum, is top of my list. It really calls on the industry to consider the effect its work has on sort of the world at large. So it's a fantastic source of insights.
Okay, and last but not least, what's your favorite app at the moment?
Oh, difficult. I mean, I think for me, I can't live without Microsoft Teams. It's with me, it's on all the time. I mean, given sort of the different markets and things that we operate across, that ability, be able to connect with anyone at any given time zone is really invaluable for me. So yeah, it's a great way out for me.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us on the Content Mix. It was awesome to meet you and to learn about your experience.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you also.
And to everybody listening in today, thank you for joining us on the Content Mix. For more perspectives on the content marketing industry in Europe, check out the Content Mix. We'll be releasing interviews just like this one, full of insights like the ones that Michael gave us every week. So keep on tuning in. Thanks again. Have a fabulous day and see you next time. Bye.